We often develop themes every week here on the channel, and it happens organically. Sometimes ESPN will instruct Stephen A. Smith to go into overdrive, and it will be victim week. Other times, the WNBA will be complaining that no one watches them and the players aren't paid enough money, and the week will be focused on that. This week, the mainstream media seems to be making it a point to prove how hypocritical they can be. Jamel Hill, for example. Jamel Hill, who claims to be unbothered, is extremely bothered that Spotify is paying Joe Rogan hundreds of millions of dollars, while she can't find 3 people who listen to her podcast. What do you call a podcast with no audience? A hobby. Jamel Hill is pressuring Spotify to just hand over $100 million to a black person, possibly even herself, for social equity purposes. They gave a white man $200 million, they must give that to a black person as well. We no longer have a free press in this country. The mainstream media, they have sold their soul to China. The majority of the media is nothing but paid propagandists. J.A. Adande is a prime example. He made those ridiculous comments 2 weeks ago, chastising people for having the audacity to criticize the motherland, China. Does he get suspended by ESPN? No. They don't even issue a fucking statement. They don't even acknowledge it. J.A. Adande just quietly disappears for 2 weeks, climbs back into the nerdium with his other virgins, then resurfaces like nothing happened. We are seeing more hypocrisy in the state-run media with how they're covering Phil Mickelson. Back in November, Phil Mickelson was interviewed by some dude named Alan Shipnuck. I'm not making that up, that's his real name. From what I can gather, the interview was for an upcoming book. Golf, of course, was a primary topic. And they got to talking about a golf league that Phil Mickelson essentially created with the government in Saudi Arabia. He is using this as leverage with the PGA. The PGA Tour, they are notoriously strict about what they allow the golfers to participate in outside of the PGA. Phil Mickelson, he compares the PGA leadership to a dictatorship, which is ironic since Saudi Arabia is an actual dictatorship. He is recruiting other PGA golfers to join this Saudi Arabian tour. It's being reported that around 20 or so golfers could leave the PGA to join. Some big names too, Justin Thomas, Bryson DeChambeau. It's an interesting little shitstorm brewing in the golf world. The mainstream media, who has such a strong reputation of giving a fuck about human rights violations, is crucifying Phil Mickelson. This man is greedy. I cannot believe he is willing to accept money from a government that murders its own citizens. Back in 2018, the Saudi government sanctioned the murder of an American journalist. Now, I can't remember the exact reason why. Perhaps the dude forgot to put on his head towel or whatever the fuck you call it. Which, who can blame him? It is 1,000 degrees in Saudi Arabia, and they want you dressed from head to toe. You know, I've never understood that about Middle Eastern culture. What the hell's wrong with the men over there? When my girl walks in my bedroom naked, I love it. Over in Saudi Arabia, a woman walks in the room naked, they throw rocks at her. Makes no sense. Phil Mickelson dealing with the Saudi Arabian government has sent the mainstream media over the woke cliff. You just knew. I was going to find a way to reference Deadspin. Some of my favorite social justice warriors, they do volunteer work writing at Deadspin. Headline: Phil Mickelson doesn't care about Saudi Arabia's awful human rights record. You know what? He probably doesn't. The media is claiming that he is accepting blood money. Those millions of dollars had the stain of blood of innocent people on them. Do I think it's right that Phil Mickelson is working with the Saudis and presumably making millions of dollars in the process? No, I don't. I think it's pure greed on his part. I also think it's vengeful. How long has he been in the PGA? 25 years? I admit, I don't follow the ins and outs of the PGA closely. But has Phil Mickelson ever complained about the PGA before now? Has he ever accused them of being a dictatorship? It is not uncommon for sports leagues or businesses in general to be run like a dictatorship. Roger Goodell, dictator of the NFL. LeBron James is the king of the NBA. Phil Mickelson acknowledged the god-awful human rights record in Saudi Arabia, but he doesn't care. His mind is set on getting revenge on the PGA. Now, for what? Who knows? But this is not about Phil Mickelson. This isn't about the PGA. I have a question for you. All of these bums, all of these identifiers who are calling out Phil Mickelson for accepting blood money, where have they been the last 2 weeks with the Olympics? Outside of one or two instances, I have seen nothing from the mainstream media calling attention to the human rights violations in China. I haven't seen Brian Stelter at CNN put down his donut and call attention to the genocide. Casey, you know how much I like my donuts. I did not get this fat overnight. It took years of hard work and heavy eating on my part. I can't talk about China. If I do, they will force me to go on a strict diet. I haven't seen Karan Phillips at Deadspin mention China once the last 2 weeks. He was too busy calling out the fake racism in the NFL. You know, because a league responsible for making thousands of black people millionaires is clearly prejudice. But China, rounding up Uyghur Muslims and forcing them into concentration camps, that's progress, social equity. By God, it's diversity. They are putting the Muslims in camps with other minorities. It is desegregation, damn it. Where is J.A. Adande? How come he's not coming to the defense of Phil Mickelson? Isn't he the same dunce who instructed all of us to ignore the human rights violations in China and just focus on the fun, the pageantry of the Olympics? How come it's not the same with Phil Mickelson? Shouldn't we just ignore the problems in Saudi Arabia and focus on the golf? Where's Jamel Hill? Jamel Hill never wastes an opportunity to create mythical human rights violations here in America. Here we have real violations, yet Jamel Hill is silent. I'm sure she's hard at work thinking of a way to spin this into a racial issue. It is abundantly clear, at least to me, that the mainstream media is being paid off by China. Clearly, Saudi Arabia is not paying them. If they were, or if they start to pay them, the media will come to their defense. Nothing is sacred anymore. We used to have a media in this country that provided actual journalism. The media was responsible for Watergate. They broke that story even when they were facing immense pressure from the Nixon administration. The media used to have one purpose, one goal: keep the government in check. Today, they're working for the government. Their loyalty is for sale to the highest bidder. Last summer, it was revealed that China paid millions of dollars to the Washington Post and the New York Times. What did they receive for their generous donation? Favorable coverage when it came to the COVID. Hell, the New York Times, they even went the extra mile. They went back over 10 years in their archives and deleted negative articles they had written on China. The mainstream media is agenda-driven, and it's the reason for their decline. Trust in the media, record lows. Hell, cable news ratings are at record lows. There are people on this platform that have twice the audience of CNN. There's a reason for that. People are starved for authenticity, and there is zero authenticity in the mainstream media. I can't tell you how many times someone has told me that they get all of their news from this channel. They don't watch ESPN or FS1 anymore. Why? Because they don't believe them. Every once in a while, we will see some truth in the media, like the Washington Post article I referenced the other day about China. But those are few and far between. The majority of media content is nothing but lies and propaganda. Then they wonder why. They wonder why they're on the fast path to irrelevancy. These people just make shit up, just like the Russia collusion story with Donald Trump. They talked about that for 3 years. It was all Rachel Maddow talked about. Russia collusion, Russia collusion, Russia collusion. The entire story was bullshit. They made it up. How many apologies, how many retractions did you see? None. Then MSNBC wonders why Rachel Maddow's ratings are down 30%. Her own audience turned against her because she lied to them for 3 years. I used to like Rachel Maddow. I used to watch her on a regular basis. But she turned me away with her lies and propaganda. All right, let me know what you guys think. Give me your thoughts on the media reaction to Phil Mickelson, with them continuing to ignore China. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.